Hello, my darlings. Welcome to the video. In this video, I want to open up the topic of star seeds, but not just like the notion of star seeds that we are already accustomed to. I want to open up the topic of earth seeds, Gaian seeds, Terran seeds, because this is not that much talked about. Now, I do want to apologize. I just broke a nail, so it looks kind of, pardon me. Okay. So, earth seeds. Now, majorly, we talk about star seeds for obvious reasons, but I haven't really seen that many people open up the topic of earth seeds. And I think this is something we should talk about, because it's not just star seeds who are awakened, it's not just star seeds who help with this mission. It's also some earth seeds, some Gaian seeds or Terran seeds, however you want to call them, Gaian or Terran seeds. And I want to talk about them and their nature, and obviously this is not just for them, this is for everyone incarnate as a human, because understanding their nature helps you understand this world, the nature of this world. So it's basically the nature of the leading species of this planet. Each planet has a leading species or more, and they are the ones that give the impulse for each evolution, for each direction of evolution, for that collective, for like the whole planet. And we're on Gaia, so we're talking about Gaian seeds. Now, I have some cards here I drew, and I like them a lot. So, Gaian seeds. Now, first of all, the first thing to know is that there are actually two areas. It's more than areas. Two sides of this planet. It's the surface and the inner side of the planet. There's something that some people call the hollow earth. I wouldn't say it's, I wouldn't use the term hollow, but yeah, that's kind of how it is. Basically, Earth is inhabited within as well. As crazy as it sounds, there is such a thing as an inner Earth. So Earth on the inside also has life, and it's what we call the inner Earth. Now, it's only the surface collective that chose to have the fall and experience negativity and experience materiality in the way we see it today. The inner Earth collective chose to stay lighter, and thanks to the inner Earth collective, we don't go to shit that much. Because if we were just to have the vibe of the surface collective, come on, we would be burning, and like this whole species would have been long gone. And the inner Earth humans are very open, they are very evolved compared to the surface collective. They have a lot to share, in like a lot more positivity to share. They are far more open to the spiritual side of reality, and it's a different vibe. When I connect to the inner Earth collective, it's an entirely different vibe, and it's kind of ironic, because they are on the inside of the planet, and yet they are the ones who have a lighter vibe. It's not the surface. The surface chose to fall, and that's why the surface collective at this point is dense, But there's a reason to that, and I will touch on that when I speak about the surface collective. Now, this is the the first thing to know that there are two collectives of humans on this planet. One of the collectives is literally on the planet, and the other one is inside the planet. Now, I've always wondered, since I study astrology and I'm into planets and stars, I've always wondered just how exactly would that happen for the inner Earth? How does that work for them? How does the motion of night and day work for them? Because for us on the surface, it's quite obvious how it works because of the rotation of the planet. Those of you who, like, those people who are flat earthers, sorry, not sorry, it's a planet. And actually, we'll never settle this debate. Like, until we're dead and we're in the spirit world and we can look at Earth from space, we'll never settle this debate, whether it's flat or round. So let's just skip it. Okay. So, and this is another thing. I have a suspicion that many of the people who think that Earth is flat kind of have, it's not the only explanation for why they believe that, but I think that one of the explanations, or at least I try to find this as an explanation, would be that they have a subconscious memory of how the inner Earth collective is like, where like they have a sun of their own just for them. It's a mini sun, I think. And you know, because like flat earthers say that there's a sun in the sky, but it's not as far away as science says. It's closer and all of that. They have an explanation for this, which I don't think, I don't find that much logic in it. But I think that subconsciously they may have this remembrance of the inner Earth sun, which is kind of like the nucleus of the sun, you know? Just like science says that inside the Earth there's lava and there's a core, a hot core that's very, very, it's got a very high temperature. I think that may be the actual sun of the inner Earth. But then again, how exactly that happens and how exactly they get night and day, I don't know. I'm curious about that, but I don't know. But even so, for me this is not a reason to doubt the inner Earth, because as I said, I connect to them and I sense them, I feel their vibe, I know they are there, and I think I've been there a few times. If not physically, at least spiritually, I am there. And yeah, it's the inner Earth collective is a lot higher in vibration and consciousness, and some of them do get incarnate in the surface collective to help the surface collective as well. And you can imagine that for them it's a lot easier to attune to the planet, because for other starseeds it's a bit more difficult of a process. It's not that easy for them to ground to Gaia, because it's not their planet, you know, it's not their seed planet, and this is not their seed solar system. Because even if you are not a Gaian seed, but you're still seeded in this solar system, it's still a bit easier for you than it is for star seeds who come from different solar systems. Okay, so in the inner Earth, there are some of the mysterious cities that you might have read about, like Shambhala, or Shangri-La, Like, you know, those kind of mythological cities that no one found, but there are people in the ancient past of humanity who spoke about them, and those cities have a lot of spiritual importance. Well, it's because they are in the inner earth. And actually, in Egypt, there are paths from beneath the pyramids to the inner earth. So all over the planet, there are certain key areas where you've got paths, like they are similar to caves, and they go through the core, the body of the earth, and they get you from the surface to the inner earth. And the most important openings of this sort are at the poles. That's why, like, CIA and similar organizations want to have control of the poles. And there's even a movie, in one of the movies in the Alien series. It's Alien Predator, I think. It's in that series of movies, Alien Predator. Predator. Where a very rich guy wants to journey to the, I think it's the North Pole. One of the poles, anyways. Because at the pole, there's a passage that goes inwards. It's like a tunnel that goes inwards. And that movie is not the only movie where you see this. It's just the first example that came to my mind, and the most clear. And that rich guy hires a team of people to go there, and he wants to have full control of that area exactly because of this, because there's a passage there. So at the poles, there are the most important passages, and you can find other passages in other areas of the world, and more often than not, in those areas you will see pyramids. Yes. Okay. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that some of these areas are heavily controlled by reptilians for this particular reason, because they do not want to allow the crossing of humans from one side to another, and they just want to disrupt the access of surface collective to the inner earth collective, and the other way around. Okay, so yeah, that being said, since I mentioned the cities of Shangri-La and Shambhala, and by the way, Jules Verne also talked about this, because, you know, he had a lot of kind of sci-fi stories in his books. They were a little bit sci-fi for his time. Nowadays they are not that sci-fi anymore, but there you go. That's a sign to that shows that what at some point seems impossible to achieve, with time it will not be impossible anymore. Of course, not everything. Like, there are some things that will always be impossible for humans, but it's just a matter of the level of incarnation. So the inner earth collective, like I said, very high in consciousness, very light, and what I sense from them is that they're actually very connected to the air element. Even though the earth is connected to the water element, I'll get back to this a bit later when I talk about the surface collective. But I wanna have a focus on the inner Earth collective at this point. When I connect to them, I feel a lot of air vibe as opposed to the water blueprint of the planet. And that's why I drew this card like this for the inner Earth. It's kind of, it's like air, because air is the lightest element, and I think that's why I get this vibe from them, because they are a lot lighter than the surface collective. And even their bodies. If you get an inner Earth human and you compare them to a surface human, their bodies won't, like, they may look similar, but they will be different, because the inner Earth is far more attuned to crystalline bodies and light bodies, whereas the surface is denser. And to be honest, I don't think that the inner Earth collective even has the same diet as the surface collective. I don't think they eat that much meat. I think most of them have renounced meat a long time ago, if ever they consumed any meat. I can see it, I can sense it in their vibe. They are just very, very light. So the surface humans at this time have a lot to learn from the inner Earth, and they do function as guides for the surface collective. They also live longer than nowadays surface humans, exactly because of what I said, because they have a different diet. They are far more attuned to spirituality, and obviously they are healthier, and even the way they work out is different. Like, I read the channeling at one point from an inner Earth human, and he was talking about this particular thing, how for them working out is like entirely different, and they just have moments when they go for a walk and they can even run, and for them even running is different. It feels different for them. So yeah, that's something to look up to. Okay, and they're full of love, but just like any beings of light, 'cause, love is the guiding force of everything, of all existence. And the more you connect to love, to true love, unconditional love for all beings, the more you evolve and the lighter you become. Now, coming back to the surface collective, there's a reason I drew this like this, because there's water here, but there are the mountains in the background. And the stars above, yes, because humanity is definitely helped by the star family. But talking about the nature of this species, this collective, even though it's connected to the water element, it's very, well, earthy. And the mountains are here. Now, why is this? I'll get into some astrology at this point. And I just want to mention that astrology, it's not just, it shouldn't be just for a select group of people. It shouldn't be just for a portion of the population. We should all learn at least the basics of astrology. Like, okay, astrologers do study this in depth, and they study it for the whole span of their lives. But I believe that for the collective to get better and to have more awareness of a lot of things, of themselves and of others and of the cosmos, we should all learn the basics of astrology. Like, at least have an idea of like what air is like, water is like, and all of that. And the more you are aware of this, the more you can connect to the spirit of the elements, because those are not just, elements just like that. prior to the material existence of the elements, there was actually a spirit force of that element behind the manifestation of that. So you can literally call upon the spirit of air. You can literally do that. Okay. Or the angel of air, or the, I don't know, whatever terminology you want to use pertaining to your own line of spiritual teachings. Whether you want to call them angels, whether you want to call them spirits, whatever, you can connect to them. So, the reason why I drew the mountains there, this is very important, it's because of Capricorn and Saturn. So, this is the thing. If you look at the water here, well, it's the water, and you will see the moon. The earth is the moon. The moon is not just, what science says it is. It's not just, a piece of rock that met the earth at one point and it got caught in its orbit and now it gravitates, it revolves around earth. No, the moon was part of earth at one point. The moon is literally part of the earth's body. And at one point in the Earth's evolution, the Earth spat out the moon because the Earth was going through some transformations at that point, and the surface collective was getting denser and denser and denser, and a lot more negativity was coming into the collective, and the Earth, Gaia herself, just couldn't deal with that. At that point, there was too much negativity. So she gathered up a piece of herself that she spat out. And in that piece, she put a major portion of that negativity that she had to deal with, that she had to digest, and just couldn't. And that's why the moon actually has many times some negative influences. Because it was literally made out of the toxicity, the negativity of the earth herself. And she spat out that portion of her body. But this is the thing. She did not fully renounce it. It's still part of her body. And when humanity will get more evolved and a lot lighter and a lot more positivity will come back into the consciousness of the collective, the earth will reunite with the moon. The earth will draw back the moon into herself. Now, that's something I would love to see, but definitely it's not going to happen in our lifetimes. And even when it will happen, exactly because this is not a catastrophic process, it's not something that she does because she wants to destroy. It will not, it shouldn't be something that would harm the humans living at that point. And I think that this thing will happen when humans will get a lot lighter and they will have less dense bodies. Because if you don't know this, I'll give you some context of the human evolution, the evolution of the human species, and the ages of humanity. Now, I'm not talking about astrological ages at this point, like age of Aquarius, age of Pisces, all of that. I'm talking about the ages of humanity, like the races of humanity. And again, when I say races of humanity, I don't mean white, black, Asian, Native American, and all of that. I mean like races of humanity, like generations of humanity. There were more lines or eras of evolution for humans. And this is what happens with all species. You descend from the non-physical and you get dense. You get denser and denser and you experience materiality. And then you dematerialize and get back into the non-physical. So humanity had already reached the point of utmost materiality. It and the turning point was during the age of Pisces, during the life of Christ. That was the turning point. And since then, humanity's it's basically a circle. So from lightest point, going down to the heaviest, the densest point, and then going back up into lightest. And the lightest point would be going back into the non-physical and merging again with the spiritual realms, just spiritual realms, no materiality. And we're doing that. And that's why we're here. That's why a lot of us are here at this point, to help humanity do this. Because, frankly, by themselves, they wouldn't be able to do it. They are far too stuck within their own negativity, and far too few surface collective humans have the desire to purge all of that and get lighter and lighter and really ascend. Far too few of them. And that's why there was the call, and that's why a lot of beings from other realms came incarnate on Earth in the human collective to help them with this ascension, because they couldn't do it by themselves. And this is the thing. It's the moon. What the moon means astrologically, that's what the Earth means, actually. If we were on Venus right now, and this is knowledge that I downloaded, is not something that I read somewhere, but it's like I feel it, and I'm 100% certain of this, and I can also give you some other arguments of this, but we would have to get into some more astrology for that. And this is not the video for that at this point. So, if we were on Venus right now, and we would see Earth in the sky, we would analyze Earth astrologically the way we analyze moon from Earth. So whatever the moon means astrologically for us on Earth, that's what Earth would mean for us on another planet in this solar system. So the moon is connected to Crab, the Crab sign / constellation. Now, the major fault of that sign is the fact that it loves to stay in the comfort zone. And that's exactly why humans cannot do it by themselves. Humans, because they are natively crab, they cannot, they don't want to get out of their comfort zone, even if their comfort zone is technically uncomfortable. Even if their comfort zone means a lot of negativity, even if their comfort zone means a lot of suffering, they are not willing to change themselves too much. That's how crab is like. It just loves to stay in the known. And that's why we're doing this ascension starting with the age of Aquarius, an air sign. Air is the element of change. So, again, Earth is water. Earth, even though we say Earth, yes, because when we touch it, we touch the Earth. But in terms of the element, Earth is water. And actually, there's a lot more water on Earth, on Gaia, than literally Earth. There you go. So, there's the sign of the moon here. But like I said, there's also the mountains. In astrology, the polar opposite of Crab is Capricorn. And the ruler of Capricorn is Saturn. I'm pronouncing it with my native accent, which, by the way, is closest to Latin. Like, I'm Romanian, and out of all Romance languages, Romanian is the closest to Latin. I love that. So, Capricorn and Saturn have a lot to do with rocks and mountains. They rule rocks and mountains, and actually, like, you see it in the sign itself, is the sign of the goat. Where do you see goats? Jumping on high rocks, on high mountains. And that's the thing. As much as crab likes to stay in the comfort zone, Capricorn is the energy of giving your hardest to reach the top. Now, there are 2 signs in the zodiac that are focused on reaching the top. I just have to say that Aquarius also has to do with the top, but Aquarius is already on top. Those of you who are Aquarius, please don't get this to your ego. Please. I just mean the energy in itself. You're incarnate as humans, so you still have to work on yourselves. But the energy in itself, Aquarius is the energy of astrology. It rules astrology, it rules the stars, the skies, so it's already the top. Other than that, there are 2 signs that deal with reaching the top. But they do that in different ways. One of them is Sagittarius, the other is Capricorn. And they reach the top in polar opposite ways. Sagittarius reaches the top exuberantly, joyously, loves to learn, loves to teach, loves knowledge, loves to experience new things, and loves life. It's a fire sign. And it's very generous, especially with the knowledge it has. It's the sign of the guru, of the teachers. Is the sign of knowledge, the higher mind, seeing the high perspective on life. And one of the animals associated with Sagittarius is vultures, eagles. And have you seen where eagles have their nests? Very, very high. Like, very high. Whereas Capricorn reaches the top hardly, with effort, with sacrifices, with time. Exactly like you would reach the top of a very rocky mountain. A mountain that's not easy to climb. This is the energy of Capricorn. Now, at the same time, the ruler of Capricorn is the enemy of Earth. Because it's the 7th house of Earth. So 7 signs / houses. For those of you who do not know, in astrology, there is something called houses. And each house describes an area of life. So the first house for Earth and the humans collective of Earth is Crab. This is their blueprint. Now, if you're an Earth seed, this is your blueprint. The 7th sign, the opposite sign, is Capricorn. Now, the 7th house talks about partners and partnership, but it can also talk about enemies. So the high polarity of this is partnership and marriage. And yes, the way to solve all of this equation is to literally marry the energies of Crab and Capricorn. But the low polarity of that is enemies. So what does Saturn want? To rule the Earth. You know? Saturn, Satan, it's him. It's literally him. And Saturn, astrologically, can give good traits as well, but it can also make someone thirsty for power, for control, for just controlling others and punishing them and being the authority figure, because Capricorn and Saturn rule authority figures. And you see it nowadays, like a lot of like governments and officials, they are ruled by Capricorn. Capricorn rules the government and the officials, the authorities. Even though we could say that Leo rules rulers as well, but Leo rules the king, the royals, the true royals, the true leaders. You know, like the sun, because the sun is the ruler of Leo. It's the sun is the true king, the true leader. Whereas Capricorn is not that much of a leader. It's more like like an authority figure. Like he wants to control, he wants to manage things, he wants to discipline others, he wants to restrict. It's also an energy of Capricorn, restriction. But like I said, Capricorn is all about reaching the top. That top of the rockiest mountain. Because Capricorn is a little bit masochistic, if you ask me. Capricorn finds value in sacrifice. So Capricorn finds value in hard things. A process, the harder it is, the more valuable it is for Capricorn. If you put Capricorn to work on something for 50 years, Capricorn will complain about that. But actually will like that. Because after 50 years of working on that and achieving the end result, that's their pleasure, which normally that wouldn't be that, it wouldn't really be a pleasure, but they're kind of sick in that way. Yeah, and it's a male sign. Even though ancient astrology says it's a feminine sign, I don't buy that. It's a male sign. Look at guys. What do guys appreciate? Things that are hard to achieve, hard to get. Even women. The easier access they have to a woman, the less they appreciate that woman. The more of a bitch you are to them, and the less access they have to you, the more they value you. And the more they put you on a pedestal, you know, it's like, what the fuck? For a woman's mind, that's just, what the fuck? Dude, what the fuck? But yeah, that's how guys work. That's the male mind. Capricorn is a male sign. I'll fight you on that. With arguments, not physically. I'm a Libra rising. Libra is the sign of peace. So yeah, the native sign, the blueprint sign of Earth is Crab. And like I said, if we were on another planet and we would see Earth in the sky, she would be the ruler of Crab. Because she is the ruler of Crab. She is in the solar system, in each solar system, for all beings in that solar system, there are constellations in the skies, and in that solar system there are portals for each of the ecliptic constellations. Now, what does that mean? The ecliptic is the path of the sun. So when you look in the sky, the sun always follows a path in the sky. The sun doesn't go like this or like this and then like that and then like this. No, the sun always will move on a certain line in the sky. Always. And that's the zodiac. The constellations on that line are the zodiac. That's why in the zodiac we don't have other constellations like, I don't know, Orion. Orion is not part of the zodiac. That's why, because Orion is not on the ecliptic. So for each of the constellations on the ecliptic, the planets of the solar system will be portals of consciousness for those particular constellations. So That's how it is for us as well. So Venus is the portal for Libra. Pluto is the portal for Scorpio. Mars is the portal for Aries. Leo is the portal, the Sun is the portal for Leo. And so on. For us, on a first thought, we would say that the moon is the portal for Crab. But actually, it's Earth herself. We are literally living on the portal for Crab. Now, please do not look at Earth just like, oh, it's just a portal. No, she's a living being. All planets and suns are literally living beings incarnate in a different manner. They just have different bodies. Yes, different consciousnesses as well. But I noticed that some people would say that, oh, it's the consciousness of Jupiter, and the way they describe the consciousness of a planet is this kind of vague energy somewhere. No. Literally living beings. Just that they are at a different level of consciousness and therefore at a different level of incarnation, which is not with flesh and bones. By the way, in humanity's history, there was a guy named Galileo Galilei who was burned alive for saying this, for saying that the earth is a living being. The church burned him alive. And when the Pope came to him and told him to renounce his beliefs, he said, no, I'm not going to renounce the truth. And they decided to burn him. And right before burning, before dying, he looked at the Pope. I think it was the Pope. If it's not the Pope, it was definitely some official of the church. But I think it was the Pope. And he looked at the Pope and said, "You're more afraid than me." Which is true. It's very true. So, yeah, this goes like... Galileo Galilei's death is one of the major reasons for me. Like, that man died burning alive so that people could have access to this knowledge, and yet today there are still people who believe that the earth is flat, which is exactly what the church preached. The church. Okay, there you go. That's your first red flag in terms of flat earth, round earth. But like I said, that's another topic. Yeah. So coming back to the nature of humans, Earth's humans. Crab rules motherhood. And Gaia herself, you know, there's a reason why in mythology she's called Mother Gaia. She's a mother goddess. There you go. She really is a mother goddess. She rules motherhood. She's a feminine being. And she's part of those feminine beings attuned to the side of motherhood. But it's not quite just that. Because, like, if we were to see Earth from another planet, yes, it would majorly be the motherhood. But here, on Earth itself, we experience her own energy through the changes of the moon. And the moon is like this. It wanes, it waxes. So it waxes, it grows, then it's a full moon, then it wanes, it decreases. And in Wicca spirituality, this is the triple goddess. It's the maiden, the mother, the crone. Young age, mature age, old age of the goddess herself, which is beautiful. I find this very beautiful. This is another trait of earth seeds when they get into spirituality. True spirituality, not just dogma. Because a lot of religion is dogma. Religion is not really spirituality. When they get into spirituality, they get into earth-based spirituality, like Wicca, like shamanism. And it's their mother planet, so they work with the land as well. And many of them will work with the moon as well, like Wiccans do. Because actually, this symbol of the moon is also the symbol of the Wicca religion. Because the major deity... Well, I'm sorry, I called it a religion. Sorry. The Wicca spirituality. The major deity in Wicca is the triple goddess, the moon goddess. And they have this thing of the lady and the lord, whereas the lady is the moon and the earth is the lord. How I see that though, because in when they speak about the lord, for them, like this being who is their lord, is kind of Capricornian somehow. Somehow, not entirely. But I see this as the lady, Gaia herself, and I don't want to call him like that because I hate him somehow. The so-called Lord, Saturn, he wants that. He wants to be called Lord. He wants to be worshipped and all of that. And that's exactly the God of the Bible. Because many people think that the Bible speaks about God, the one, the primordial creator being. But what those people have to realize is that those writings, that like the nowadays Bible, those writings were modified time and time and time again. I was alive before the New Testament. And there was the Old Testament there. And we did not consider it to be that good of a source of information. Some of them were okay, some of those writings. Of course, there wasn't the name Old Testament back then. Some of them were some sources of information, but many of them were already modified even at that point. And that was some 2,000 years ago. So, if those writings were modified even 2,000 years ago, imagine how modified they are by now. And the New Testament, the Bible was confiscated by the Roman state in the 4th century after Christ. That's, like, if you have a brain to think, you realize what that means. Whenever a state declares a state religion, you already know, that's not spirituality, that's a line of manipulation. And fortunately, nowadays, a lot of people have understood that Christianity, the official Christianity, is nothing but manipulation. And don't get me wrong, there was at one point some kind of, like there was at one point spirituality in this. Prior to Christianity becoming official. Okay. So yeah, that's the Lord of the Bible. It's Saturn. And like, if you look at many people in the media, many Satanists in the media, like Lady Gaga, you know, every time they have a speech, they win an award, they're like, I want to thank the Lord. Yeah, they're not thanking Jesus, by the way. That's not their Lord. So yeah, the energy of Saturn and Capricorn is used by the secret elites of humanity in their rituals. But I don't want to get so much into that. It's fucking depressing and I hate it. I just want to speak of the positive things and spread positivity to the world. That's what I'm here for. So yeah, the lady and the Lord of Capricorn, her opposite. And when we marry these two energies, we actually get to evolve as the human collective. When we bring some harmony in this axis of opposites. Okay. And if you look at astrology and at the meaning of the sign crab, you will see that crab is actually a very grounded sign and a very materialistic sign, even though it's a water sign. Well, why is that? Exactly because this is the planet of crab. So yeah, this being said, I hope this has helped as many people as possible understand some aspects of reality and spirituality, and I hope this helps you connect to Gaia now that you understand her better. And love and joy to everyone!